in both West Indies ODI squad and the T20 squad. There are 12 players in both teams, in both squad that I would have selected. There are two players who I would not have considered, but then there's one other that I would have accepted. This one player happens to be the player in both squad. On the other hand, Cricket West Indies need to come out and tell us what is the situation with Shafane Rutherford and Shemran Etmire. These two players have been playing T20 franchise cricket all over the world and are making loads of runs at a high strike rate. We need to know if they have been contacted. We need to know if they were considered. Cricket West Indies cannot just leave this issue as it is. We used to hear about Andre Russell, whether he was invited or he was not invited. What is the situation then with Shafane Rutherford and Shimron Etmire? I was told that Shafane Rutherford was once told that he would never represent the West Indies again. Is this true? Cricket West Indies must let us know. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Please slash a like on the video, click on the subscription button in the bottom right hand corner. It is free to click. Today here with me to analyze the West Indies cricket squads for the tour of South Africa are Halrick Williams, one of the best cricket analysts that never played cricket, and the West Indies under 19 cricketer, Kate Wilmot. Welcome to the show, fellas. And when I look at the squad, the ODI squad, O. Powell, Brooks, Carrier, Gabriel Hussein, Joseph King, Mayer, Spuran, and Shepherd and Simit, I would have selected. There's no way I would have selected Casey Carty. It must mute, please. There's no way I would have selected Casey Carty. Casey Carty played 9 ODI matches for the West Indies in 2022. He batted on 7 occasions. His top score was 43 not out against the Netherlands in the Netherlands. Since then, he have made score of 33, 33, 5, 11, 16, 4, scoring a total of 145 runs in his 7 matches. Casey Carty list A average is 28.38. Having played in 7 matches, having batted in 7 matches, I do not see why Casey Carty should retain his place in the squad. Certainly, I would not have picked him over Sunil Ambrose. Sunil Ambrose, who have played 16 matches for the West Indies at the ODI level, averages 36, surprisingly. I did not know this, but when I researched this yesterday, I realized that Ambrose is averaging over 36. He has a high score of 148 and a strike rate of 95.74. That strike rate, outside of Romario Shepherd and Odin, is the highest strike rate of any West Indian ODI batsman presently playing. Why Sunil Ambrose is not in the squad is beyond me. He had scored 1 century and 2 half-century. His list A average of 39 is higher than most West Indian cricketers. In last year's Super 50, the same Super 50 that Casey Carty played, Sunil Ambrose scored more runs than Casey Carty. He averages in that competition 59 to Casey Carty 46. He has a strike rate of 92.54 to Casey Carty 66. In his last 7 innings for West Indies, this is the only disadvantage that Sunil Ambrose have against Casey Carty. He had scored only 112 runs to Casey Carty 145. Based on these 2 records over the last 7 matches and in the Super 50, and the fact that Casey Carty in his last 7 matches for the West Indies is averaging less than Sunil Ambrose and have failed to score 50 in 7 matches, I would not have picked him for the West Indies team ahead of Sunil Ambrose. I would also not have picked him ahead of Darren Bravo, not Dwayne, Darren Bravo. For Dwayne, Darren average is 30. His list average is 37. And even in the recently concluded CG United Super 50 played last year, Bravo scored more runs than Casey Carty. Bravo average was higher than Casey Carty. Bravo strike rate was higher than Casey Carty. Bravo last 7 innings for the West Indies is 160 runs ahead of Casey Carty. So in my opinion, looking at these statistics, I would not have selected Carty ahead of Bravo or Ambrose. Also, I would not have selected Carty ahead of Alec Atanase. Alec Atanase was the only player in the recently concluded CG Super 50 who have scored 2 centuries. And so, Casey Carty, I would not have selected him. The other player who I would not have been selected in this squad is Ruston Chase. Ruston Chase ODI average of 20 simple rubbish. His rate of 73 is very low. He has taken under 19 wickets. He has taken under 19 wickets in his ODI career, averaging 42 per wicket with an economy of almost 5, getting a wicket every 10 overs. Batting for the West Indies, Ruston Chase last 7 innings in ODI cricket is a mere 96 runs. In his last 7 matches for the West Indies, he has taken 5 wickets. Ruston Chase was dropped last year after the Ireland series, in which Ruston Chase played all 3 matches. He was dropped after that series and have done nothing to merit a recall in the squad. When you look at players like Kofi James, Dennis Bulai, and Kavim Arch, who have taken more wickets than Chase in the recently concluded CG Super 50, what have Chase done to merit his place in the team over these 3 players? You might say you want an off spinner, someone who is turning from left to right. Well, what about Bulai? Bulai turns from left to right with his Chinaman googly bowling. Kofi James, who took 4 wickets last year in the Super 50, is also an off spinner and is a reasonably good batsman. So the argument of wanting an off spinner and choosing Chase is rubbish. Mark you, Kavim Hodge is a left-arm orthodox spinner. So he's doing the same thing as Hussain. So you probably don't want Kavim James in the side. But Kavim James was named in the Super 50 team of the tournament. So why can he make the West Indies ODI squad? These are my questions. These 2 players would definitely not be in my ODI squad. Also, the person who I have a challenge with is Jason Holder. Jason Holder in his last 10 ODI matches have scored 148 and have taken only 13 wickets. For that record, he should not have been in the squad. But the fact is why I would have accepted him in the squad, although I would not picked him, in that in his last 5 ODI matches, he have taken 11 wickets. 11 wickets in 5 ODI matches is good bowling. And that is the reason why I accept Holder in the squad. Despite the fact that in the last 5 ODI matches, he only scored 27 runs. But the fact that he took 11 wickets in those 5 matches, although in the previous 5 matches, he has only taken 2 wickets. However, I would not have picked him, but I would have accepted. Your view, Alric Williams. Your view, Alric Williams, on the ODI squad.
Okay. Morning. Looking at the squad, I don't really have much of a problem with the ODI squad, to be honest. It's a reasonable squad, and I hear you on the inclusion of Casey Carty, and you're saying that you would have selected Ambrose over him, but I don't have a problem with his selection. And if you are using the last CG Super 50 stats, because I think that is what they would use to select the ODI squad. That was the last ODI cricket that was played in the Caribbean, and that would be the basis for selection for this ODI squad. So I don't have a problem with his selection. Looking at the statistics for these two men, it's it's really what I'm seeing here in Casey Carter batted 6 times. He scored 234 runs, highest score of 103, averaged 46.80. Ambrose batted the same 6 times. He had an average of 59. His highest score was 90 not out. He scored 236 runs. So there's not really much difference between the two. And the fact that Casey Carter was in the previous ODI squad, I think the selectors are working with him to give him another opportunity to see what he will produce. So based on the squad, I don't really have much of a problem with the squad, because looking at the squad, we have, well, the captain, Shea Hope, Robman Paul, vice captain, Shamar Brooks, Brandon King, Nicholas Pooran, Kyle Mayers. These are the main batsmen that we're expecting to produce the goods against South Africa. And this is a reasonable good squad. We have Shea Hope and possibly Brandon King, who might open the batting. Shamar Brooks probably might come 3. Ruston Chase might bat 4. Kyle Mayers 5. We have Nicholas Pooran. So it's a decent batting lineup based on what I'm seeing. And I don't really have a problem with Carty's selection. So I don't think Carty probably will feature in the first match. But the squad looks a decent squad. And if they play to their potential, we should be competitive against South Africa, in South Africa. So I don't really have a problem with his selection.
That's fine with me. And I invite you here to express your opinion. So if your opinion differs from mine, I am comfortable with that. Kate, would you like to express your opinion on the squad that was selected, these 15 players that have been selected for the ODI squad? What is your view?
Well, I don't really have no problem with the team, the ODI squad, but most of the guys, never seen them before. Never.
Yeah, what?
Most of the guys, I've never seen them before. I never seen them played.
Okay. So you don't watch the senior team. Breaker Benjamin, welcome. Sheldon Simit. Pollard is making more runs than both Etty and Rutherford. Yes, Sheldon, but how could you include Pollard when Pollard has retired from international cricket? He has retired from international cricket. Since Seth was caught the last time, he need to make a public apology. Well, as I said, Sheldon, this forum is all for opinions, and I appreciate your opinion. Breaker Benjamin, how you doing? The Curry Goat match, West Indies is 264 for 7. Not West Indies. South Africa invitation level is 264 for 7. Reply to West Indies 283 for 9. Declared. At friend board. That Carter friends are on the board. Do you think so, Alric? Do you think Carter have friends on the board? That's why he was selected.
I have no way of proving that. I don't know. You're not hearing me?
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Tony?
Yeah, man, I have no way of knowing that. Whether he has friends on the board. But
racism. Yes. Tony, I told you I'm not going down the racism road, Tony. I'm not going down the racism road with you.
I don't think it would be racism. It would be more insularity. But I don't think so.
We're not going down. We're not going down that road, Alric. We're not going down that road. Are you seeing the comments from the chat on the screen? Are you both seeing it?
Sure. Yes.
Why Moti out in the team? Why Moti out? I guess you're asking why Moti out of the team. I personally do not have an issue with Moti being out of the team. We have seen among the top countries like England, Pakistan, you name the top countries, Australia, South Africa, England, where they're testing in the cricket. We have an exception Ashwin do play all format, Jadeja play all format, and Aksar Patel played all format. We have seen it in India where their spinner play all format. But then again, even when you look at India, Chahal and Kuldeep are the main spinners in white ball cricket. Sometimes Ashwin is dropped from the white ball team. I do not have an issue with Moti being asked to concentrate and playing red ball cricket. And if Hussein is the preferred choice in white ball cricket, and Hussein, you must remember, is the highest rating West Indies bowler in white ball cricket at the moment. He's the highest rating bowler. So there's no issue with Hussein being selected ahead of Moti. I do not have an issue with Moti being selected only for Test cricket. That is nothing wrong with that. All the leading countries in the world separate the main spinners in white ball cricket from red ball cricket. Bravo has to prove to up to the tournament while in Test. Okay, Sheldon Simmet. Merrick, how you doing? Nepotism is destroying West Indies cricket. There's a lot of talk about the large number of Barbadians in the West Indies squad. They're only selecting Barbadians. Correct, Merrick? Are you seeing the comments? So those are some of the comments. Why Mayor's vice captain? What is his record? John P. Nicol. I am finished with West Indies selectors. No rational thought, logic, or common sense goes into selecting the West Indies cricket team. John P. Nicol, I do feel the same way sometimes. It is very frustrating. You just do not know what they're doing. Because although Alric is saying that he has no issue with Casey Carty, and I accept his opinion. This is what this forum is all about. We accept each other's opinion. I would certainly not have selected Carty ahead of Atanase, Bravo, or Sunil Ambris. I do not see how Carty is in the team. I do not see how Ruston Chase having dropped after the Ireland ODI series in Kingston, Jamaica, and I've done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing in white ball cricket since I've earned his place back into the ODI squad. It's absolutely rubbish. Your thought, Alric?
Yes, I would more question Ruston Chase's selection. I'm not seeing his figures here on how he did in the CG Super 50 in terms of his batting. But I'm guessing they're playing him as
he has no
an
figures.
all-rounder.
He was either injured. No figures. Yeah.
So I would more question his selection in the team, but so that is only questionable selection that I would have a problem with, but I'm giving Ruston Chase another chance. Yes. They have given him another chance, so we have to just hope for the best and see what he can produce in this series. But just to respond to the comments about Etmire, people are questioning Etmire's non-selection. Etmire has proven over the recent past that he's not interested in West Indies cricket. He's more concerned with playing franchise cricket, and I think they have done the right thing. If that is his focus, and especially what happened, read the tour of Australia, when he was given 2 bites of the cherry to get on a plane to go to Australia, and he missed both of them for some silly reasons in my view. I think Etmire should get his head on straight and focus on what he's interested in. As it relates to West Indies cricket, until he can prove himself that he is interested in West Indies cricket, then they should not select him. He will have to come back in the region, make some runs, and dedicate himself to West Indies cricket before he is selected for the team. We are not in the position where we can allow persons to think that they are bigger than the cricket. If you think you are bigger than the cricket, then leave the cricket alone. And Etmire is not proving to be interested in West Indies cricket, so I have no problems with his non-selection.
Kate, do you have a problem with Etmire non-selection? Shimran Etmire.
Not really. But as what Probably for him, probably rather franchise cricket or something. But
Okay. My issue with the Edmire selection and non-selection, I do not, let me make it clear here, I do not have an issue with Edmire non-selection. What I want Cricket West Indies to say, though, to clear up the doubt and to let everyone knows what is happening, is to say whether they did consider him or did not consider him. Desmond Haynes spoke about the injury to Anderson Phillips and Jada Seals, and he spoke about Bravo and Bonner. So I'm saying, why don't talk about Edmire and Rutherford? Because these guys are making runs in T20 franchise cricket all over the world at a high strike rate. So let us know that if you consider them or you reach out to them and they turn it down. And then the stakeholders, we the stakeholders, would know exactly where they stand. ODI squad should have had Athanaze, Jordan, and Primus. While I would not have Primus in the team because Primus was not in my mind, I would have Primus at a larger squad preparing for the World Cup qualifiers. But he would not be in this squad to tour South Africa. Athanaze would have been a likely consideration ahead of Casey Carty, as I have said. Jordan, I would have certainly gone with Jordan ahead of Jason Holder. Because as I pointed out, I accept the selection of Jason Holder, but just. And so, but in my opinion, I would have gone with Jordan ahead of 007. Kofi James is a better spinner. You are saying Kofi James is a better spinner than Ruston Chase. I would have certainly gone with Kofi James ahead of Ruston Chase. Either Chase or Bulai. I am concerned about Bulai fitness, though. I do not know if Bulai fitness is up to par. I am a fitness man. I'm telling you. I think international sportsmen should have a certain level of fitness. I have doubt about Dennis Bulai fitness. But in my opinion, Bulai and Kofi James is ahead. They are ahead of Chase in the pecking order. How can a man being dropped from the ODI squad, did nothing at all, and recalled ahead of players who have been performing better than him? Adrian, who has determined that Edmire? Who has determined that Edmire? Please, I do not understand your question, Adrian. Could you elaborate some more? Not true. He has played for West Indies against India. So the next squad that was selected is the ODI squad. And not the ODI squad, the T20 squad.
T20.
Here on the board is the T20 squad to be captained by Powell and May as the vice captain. Once again, I question the selection of two players in the squad. And although I accept the selection of Holder, I would not have gone with Holder. But I do not see the reason why Brooks and Reefer is in the squad. Raymond Reefer played Test cricket for West Indies. He's selected for the Test squad and is selected for the T20 squad, but is not in the ODI squad. I do not know anywhere else in the world that happened. You have players who play all three formats. You will have players who play Test cricket and ODI cricket, and you'll have players who play T20 cricket and ODI cricket. I have not seen an international team with a player who played Test cricket, missed out ODI cricket, and selected for the T20 team. I cannot see why Reefer is in this team or Brooks is in this team. I look at these guys' statistics. Brooks, who played two exceptional innings in the semifinals and the finals, in the quarterfinals, so to speak, and the semifinals of the CPL this year, it was two exceptional innings, but those were not the norm. Brooks' T20 international career, he averages less than 20. He usually opens our bat at number 3. How on earth do you have a T20 batsman batting, opening, or at 3, averaging less than 20? Even worse than his average, is a strike rate of 102. There's no way a strike rate of 102 can win you T20 international matches. You cannot have a batsman in your team batting in the top three with a strike rate of 102. There's no way he should be in it. And if you look at Brooks' T20 record overall, not his T20 international record, his T20, that means playing CPL. The fact is his average is barely higher at 23.75 and his strike rate is still 120. Coupled to that, why is it that we have a batsman in our T20 international team that cannot get a franchise contract anywhere in the world? And yet still, West Indies pick such a player to have such a player in their team who cannot get a T20 franchise anywhere in the world. Brooks does not play T20 franchise cricket anywhere in the world except the CPL, and yet still Cricket West Indies have him in their team. Why is that so? I do not understand. Now, you may talk about the leg spinner Yannick Carrier. But there's a difference between leg spinners and batsmen. If you look at the IPL, for example, you will see that players like Adil Rashid, Shamsi, Zampa, Shadab Khan, these players are not usually drafted by IPL teams because they prefer to go with the leg spinners in their own country. So some of the leading leg spinners in international cricket generally don't play franchise cricket like the IPL because they prefer to go with the leg spinners in their own country. So while I can accept Carrier selection and not being playing for any franchise team, I cannot accept we have a batsman in our T20 international team who cannot get a franchise contract or anywhere in the world. Yet we have other batsmen like Andre Fletcher. We have other batsmen like Shafane Rutherford, who these guys are making loads of runs in T20 franchise cricket all over the world and cannot make the West Indies team. And yet a player like Brooks, who is not making any runs at a low strike rate, is able to be in our T20 team. Those are the figures of our batsmen in the International League T20 that just concluded. Pooran was number 5 on the list. But in that top 5, in that West Indies top 5, you have Fletcher, Ekmai, and Rutherford. And even if we are saying that Ekmai is not serious about West Indies cricket, I am sure that Fletcher is. And if Fletcher can be playing T20 franchise cricket all over the world and being one of the leading batsmen in this league, why is he not in the team ahead of Brooks? Fletcher, whose average is 33 and a strike rate of 121, is far superior to Brooks. So why is Brooks in the team and not someone like Fletcher and not someone like Shafane Rutherford, who has a strike rate of 184 and an average of 41? Why is Brooks in the team ahead of Rutherford? Can someone please tell me? Alric?
All right, again, I think I understand what the selectors are doing, are hoping to achieve with Shamar Brooks' selection. The West Indies, as we know, struggle to rotate the strike. Shamar Brooks is a decent batsman. He can be attacking at times, but we know that's not really his game. His game is a stroke player. His game is to pick the gaps and rotate the strike. So we have many attacking players in the top order. So I think his selection is one where, and we know West Indies batting can be brittle at times. So we don't want everybody to be going guns blazing because we tend to be hit and miss. It's either we're going for 4s or 6s or dots. And I think the selectors are saying his selection is to be that person in the middle order, whether it is 3 or 4, I don't think he will open 3 or 4 to rotate, especially in the middle overs, to get us a decent total. Because our problem is not 6 hitting or 4 hitting. It is to prevent the dot balls and to push the ball in the gaps, especially in those middle periods where we struggle a lot. And I think that is why he was selected. That is the logic behind his selection. That's what I believe.
Alric,
Yes, sir.
there's no way. And again, as I said, your opinions are always welcome. And I really appreciate you being here. But look at that strike rate, 102. Can a strike rate of 102 win T20 matches? Can an average
I
of
agree with you in terms of the strike rate. The strike rate is low.
Pardon me?
But at the same time, I agree with you in terms of the strike rate. We would love for a strike rate to be a lot higher. But at the same time, in the context of West Indies cricket and what we have struggled to do in the recent past, and this was very noticeable in the World Cup that we failed to advance from the preliminary stages.
Look here, Alric. Brooks' average is less than 20. That means he's making just about 20 runs each match. And if a strike rate of 102, it means that he's using 20 deliveries to make those 20 runs. He's using up 20 deliveries. That's 1/6 of the team total number of deliveries to make those 20 runs. If someone like Shafane Rutherford or Andre Fletcher face those same 20 deliveries that Brooks is facing per match, they are going to make 30, 35 runs. And that is better from the team. I want a Shafane Rutherford in the team. Brooks, there it is now. Brooks is facing 20 deliveries a match. Give me Shafane Rutherford to face those same 20 deliveries, and Rutherford is going to give me at the end of the day 36 runs from those same 20 deliveries. That is what win T20 matches. Kate, what is your comment?
That's where Shade comes in.
Yes, Alric, go
I
ahead.
agree with you, but guess what? Shafane Rutherford and Andre Fisher, the Spiceman, they are more of the same of what we have in the team. And many times, they can give you more runs of less balls, but most of the times it doesn't happen. It's either they swing and miss, or they are picking the fielders, and we end up in a worse position where we are soaking up a lot of dot balls. So the hope is with Shamar Brooks' style of batting and his skill set, where we know he can rotate the strike a lot better than some of these men, along with the fact that he can find the boundary as well, is a better selection than going for the same set of type of players in Shafane Rutherford, who is basically a ball beater, and Andre Fletcher, which is also a ball beater. But many times they are hit and miss. But over to you, Kate.
I agree with what you said just now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just going through the comments in the chat. I'm going to Rohit Sharma plays all format of cricket. No one said that person doesn't play. Jason Older does, and Kyle Myers does. I would pick Cornwall over Brooks, 007. And as we always welcome opinion, Brooks does not belong in the team. Winston King. C. Debray spent thousands of dollars to review the debut card after the last World Cup. Yet they came back and select the same players. That is so true. Winston King, only one change they made to the team. One change. They brought in Romario Shepherd. That's the only change. That is so true. Very good point there. Very good point. It's better if they had picked Shea up for the T20 over Brooks. I agree with you 100%, 007. And, you know, we welcome different views on the show, I have said many times. And we welcome Alric's view, but we disagree with this one, Alric, and that's good. It's good that we do not have the same opinion here. I would not have gone for Evan Lewis, Adrian Bishop. I would not have gone for I would not have gone for him. Sadly, we will want Etmire in white ball cricket for the West Indies, but do most of us ask ourselves if Etty wants to be in the West Indies squad? Pollard had hit the nail when he said you can take the horse to the water. I agree with that comment. And I, for one, is not necessarily asking for Etmire to be in the team. What I'm asking for is clarity around the Etmire situation so that we know exactly where the position is. Because Brian Lara, in that same report that was mentioned earlier, Brian Lara said that Etmire was a big miss at the World Cup. And Brian Lara said that Etmire and West Indies need to come to a decision in the middle. In that report that Brian Lara was on that committee. Now, what I'm saying is that we need some clarity from Cricket West Indies. That's all I'm saying. Whether Etmire is in the team or not. JP Nicol, you will understand. I understand you, JP Nicol, but I don't want to put that comment. You'll understand, right, JP Nicol? You and I will talk. Carrier is not a top-line bowler. Carrier does not even get selected for Trinidad in the T20 team, but is in the West Indies team as a bowler. I agree with that, Dane Duane. I see that and I accept that and I understand your position. The reason why I would pick Carrier, though, is that we have seen that in T20 international cricket, all teams have a leg spinner. The one that we have tried for many years, Adrian Walsh, we must agree did not work. And when you look at all the leg spinners in the Caribbean, there's a young man from Barbados, I think his name is Leach or something like that. I do not remember his name right now, but I think it starts with a L. I think that Carrier is ahead of him, and that young man is second in line. I would like to see his development. I don't remember his name. Somebody can remind me his name. 007 can remind me his name. A lot of Barbadians in this chat. They can remind me his name. But his name starts with a L. He's a very good leg spinner. But in my opinion, Carrier is the best leg spinner in the West Indies at this time. And I do not have an issue with him in the team. What do you think about Carrier selection, Kate? Alric, what do you think about Carrier selection?
Kate, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So, all right. If I were a selector, my philosophy in selecting any team, I'm going to use statistics. It is what you have done to justify your selection. So, Yannick Carrier has done he has done a decent job since he has been in the team. And if you're going to select another team in the next series, why would you drop him out of the team, having done a reasonable job? Somebody, in order for somebody to displace him from the team, then they would have to be kicking down the door, and there's no such person that is doing that. So if you have done reasonably well in the previous series, then it is almost certain that you are going to be selected for the next series, barring injury or loss of form. So these selection, these are reasonable good selections. I have no problem with Carrier's selection in the team. He's a decent leg spinner. He's not a world class leg spinner like some of the other leg spinners in the world, but he's decent. He has done a decent job for the West Indies. So it is reasonable for him to be included based on his performance in the previous series. So I have no problems with his selection.
I agree with you, Alric. Rutherford cannot pass the fitness test. And then that's what I'm asking. If he cannot pass the fitness test, Cricket West Indies need to come out and say that he cannot pass it. That's all I'm asking for Cricket West Indies. I'm not asking for Cricket West Indies to select him. But based on his performances in T20 franchise cricket in the world, we need to know what's the situation, why he's not being selected. So I'm not asking for him to be selected, but I'm saying that if he's not selected, Cricket West Indies need to tell us why. Sheldon Smith, all batsmen are limited, but when you have a batsman averaging 41 with a strike rate of 181, are you going to take the batsman that is that limited, who is as a strike rate of 102 and is averaging 19? Which one would you prefer? I'll take the limited batsman every day. 007, we understand that comment. You and Dane have that out. If Brooks was good at rotating the strike, his strike rate would be higher. I agree, Jamaican Bond. Give us Jimbo 007. All you doing? MTV. Brooks are too slow for true. Brooks, Sheldon, Alric, is you alone? You know the chat agree with me. They don't chat. My explain inter-county 4-day cricket in Guyana right now. He might even play 4-day cricket in the final 3 rounds of the regional 4-day cricket. Very good. Thank you, Bishop, for that. I love that comment. I'm glad to know. I'm very glad. Devon Thomas, Karen Powell, Kenara Lewis, Leroy Love. What are those names? You are saying that those names are ahead of Brooks? Okay, let's see. Adrian, and your point. Okay, no, that is not for me. How can a player be selected with a 20 average? I don't know. But is Alric, do you want to explain that? Please, Alric, explain that.
I'm in no way. We have to look at the context of West Indies cricket. How many of West Indies players that have been selected averaging more than 20? If we are going to be honest, most of these batsmen, they're averaging this, around the same number. They might be mid-20s, but they're not averaging much more than that. So within the context of West Indies cricket, we don't have a lot of players who are averaging high 30s, 40s. We don't have that. So we are choosing from a bad bunch, and we have to select players. And as I say, I can understand what the selectors are doing. So somebody in the chat provided a good alternative. They are saying that if they had selected Shea Hope, I wouldn't have no problem with that. I would have no problems with that. But I think the selectors, having looked at it, and I like the way that they are going, that they have chosen 3 different captains for the 3 different formats. And I believe they didn't want to burden Shea Hope with the T20 as well. He's the captain of the ODI team, and I think they must have a discussion with him, because he would have been a perfect selection for the T20s, the T20 team as well. He could have easily replaced Shamar Brooks, and I would have no problems with that, because he's a decent white ball player for the West Indies, especially in ODI, and he can provide the same thing as Shamar Brooks they are hoping can provide for the team in terms of rotating the strike.
Well, so Alric, are you saying that most of the players, they are averaging 20 or just thereabout in T20 international cricket? That are you saying? That's what you saying?
I don't have the figures here, but if I were to hazard a guess, yeah, if I were to hazard a guess, I don't have the figures for most of the batsmen. But in T20 international, I don't think that much of them are averaging. Many of them are averaging more than 25 in T20 international. I will do that research, but I can bet that not many.
All right, tell me now, which of these batsmen has a strike rate of less than 120? Tell me which batsman in the West Indies squad have a strike rate of less than 120?
Shamar Brooks is one which you provided stats. So Brooks, and I agree that he bats a lot, a little slow. I agree with that. But I'm saying I can understand what the selectors are doing.
Romario Shepherd, you know that Romario Shepherd in T20 international is 39. His average.
He bats way down. So most of the time he's gonna come not out. So you have to put the thing in context. He's a ball.
Romario Shepherd's strike rate is 148.
I agree,
those are the persons who are going to win your T20 international match, not Brooks.
But winning a T20, I understand. Winning a T20 match starts with what you do from ball 1 to the end of the innings. That is what wins your cricket match. It's not what you do necessarily at the end, because that is just a culmination of what the team has been doing from ball 1.
And that is why when persons like Simit and Hussain and Romario Shepherd came at the latter stage of the innings, they have to be scoring 13 runs or over, because Brooks is at the top, striking at 100 and over at 100%.
No, but don't just single Brooks, because at the end of the day,
if Brooks,
you might face
that Brooks is
let's not talk about each other. Finish your point.
The only one who was a strike. Yeah, Brooks is the only one who has a strike rate of 102, and that cannot win match. There's no way a strike rate of 102 can win T20 international match. Nobody cannot convince me otherwise. A strike rate of 102 cannot win T20 international matches. Go ahead, sir.
I agree. In general terms, you are correct. But I'm saying at the same time, many persons who have a higher strike rate, you might face, say, 20 balls, and you have, say, 40 runs from that, and then you get out. I'm saying you getting out, and depending on when you get out, that put pressure on other people. So you can't just single out Shamar Brooks and say that he has a low strike rate. Many persons at the top of the order, they might have a higher strike rate than him. But at the end of the day, they are not really benefiting the team in terms of it's either sometimes they soak up a lot of dot balls as well. But because they can hit more fours, they really don't really help the team in the grand scheme of things. So you need it's a balancing act. You need players who can strike the ball at a high strike rate. And if you have a one man like Shamar Brooks who may not have a high strike rate like the others, but at the end of the day, he can rotate the strike. That benefits the team, especially in the middle overs. Our problem in T20 is how we approach the middle overs. That is where we are losing most of the cricket matches. And I think the selectors are saying that with his selection, this man, we are hoping that he can steady the innings, rotate the strike, and get these players who strike at a higher rate to do the damage. But they need somebody, especially in T20, they need somebody who can bat throughout the innings, like a Shamar Brooks, anchor the innings, and have other people batting around him. But we expect him to score at a higher rate as well. I'm not making any excuses for him. He could strike at a higher rate. But the selectors are saying that we need a man like him to bat through the innings and stabilize the innings, and others bat around him. It's a team game. It's not an individual game. It's a team game. So you have to look at the thing in the context of the team and what the team is trying to achieve. And where we are struggling in T20 is that we are soaking up a lot of dot balls, and at the end of the day, we are making, even with these men who have a higher strike rate, we are making paltry totals in the end of the game when you look at it in totality. That's what I'm saying.
Kate, would you prefer a batsman who give you 20 runs from 20 deliveries, or you prefer a batsman who give you 38 runs from 20 deliveries?
So I prefer a man that give me, I prefer the man that give me 38 from 20.
Yeah.
I
would prefer that.
Yeah.
But you are going to have, in any team, you are going to have a man that, because remember, you have different style of players. And you can't have all ball beaters.
Yes, sir, John P. Yes, sir, John P. comment there, below the bottom there.
Oh, yes, sir. Your guest is showing by his comment that he's auditioning for the position of a future selector. And it is clear you will make the same silly mistakes as Desmond Haynes. No. If I were a selector, my philosophy, as I said, is I'm looking at the stats. I'm going to use the eye test as well, but I'm looking at the stats. The stats don't lie. If a man is performing based on his numbers, he will be selected. Because remember, we can't see in the future, you know. So you are going to select people with the hope based on what they have.
There's a good point here. I don't cut you, Alric, but there's a point there on the screen. MPEC TV. And this gentleman, he and I have a lot of heated discussion, just like you know. He's a real, we have a lot of good discussion. He's a big contributor.
We're not use Bravo, who will be steadying the batting.
Yes, Bravo has a higher strike rate and he can do the same thing just like Brooks. So how do you reply to this gentleman?
Bravo would be a good selection, but I guess because Bravo Bravo has been struggling for a while. We all know that. But in recent times, he has found his form. So if he were to be selected based on his current form, and I think what did Bravo? He was playing what? 50 overs? He scored, I think yes, 4-day cricket. He has scored two centuries in 2 innings in a match. So based on current form, if you were to select him, I wouldn't have a problem either, because he could provide the same thing. Bravo is good at rotating the strike as well, and Bravo can step it up when it is needed. So Bravo's selection would be a good one as well, based on current form, since we're going to South Africa and what he has been doing.
If you look at the team that are currently winning tournament, there are no 100 strike rate batsmen in those teams. That Brooks played in T20 World Cup, he wasn't. Yeah, this gentleman is making my point. He's making the same point that I'm making, that 102 strike rate cannot win T20 international cricket. You know, he's making the same point that I'm making. I don't know what this person is saying. That comment shouldn't even be on the screen. Breaker Benjamin, the curry boat man from Trinidad. Go ahead, Alric.
I'm saying, generally speaking, you want your batsmen to be striking at, say, 150. But as long as they're not striking below 100, if you can strike a runner ball as a middle as a number 3,
you're not going to win this case, Alric. Alric, you're not going to win this case.
I'm not trying to win a case. I'm not trying to win a case, and I'm just saying to you, I can understand what the selectors are trying to achieve by his selection. I'm not saying that his strike rate should not be higher. That's not my point. I'm just saying to you, based on what has happened to the West Indies T20 team in the recent past, where we have failed to rotate the strike in the middle overs especially. We have no problems with the power play, and we have no problems with the death overs from 15 to 20.
One of the things that my grandmother told me many years ago, almost 50 years ago, is that never try to understand foolishness.
But I don't think it's foolishness.
I'm clear. What the West Indies cricket selectors are doing in selecting Brooks to this T20 squad is foolishness. And you are trying to explain the foolishness?
Now, what you guys are advocating is for the selectors to select all players who can strike the ball at a decent clip, which would be the ideal. I agree. But I'm saying you have to look at the historical performance of the team. When we have selected players like those, it has not served West Indies cricket in the recent past any good, because they are the same type of players, is either hit or miss. And in the final analysis, we are being bowled out in many instances, or we are being restricted. And at the end of the day, we have accumulated between 40 to 50 or more dot balls in the innings. These are balls that if you had a man like Shamar Brooks, instead of trying to hit and miss, can stroke the ball in the gaps, and instead of getting no runs out of those balls, we get 1, 2, or 3. We don't necessarily have to get 4, because that is what we have always been aiming at, 4s or 6s. And at the end of the day, we are misfiring, and then at the end of the day, we are not getting the totals that we need to be competitive. So if the selectors are saying that I'm going to use one selection and pick a man like Shamar Brooks with the hope that he can rotate the strike and stabilize the innings, especially in those middle overs, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you choose one player out of an 11 in the batting order to do that job, it may work, it may not work, but at least I can understand the logic behind it.
And the screen is Jason Older last T20 match statistics. Before I go to Jason, because I cannot understand why Jason Older is in the T20 squad either. That's his last statistics. But before I go to that, I just want to recall what Darren Sammis said before the start of the finals of the 2016 T20 World Cup. When he was asked why West Indies batsmen do not rotate the strike more often, his reply was, they need to stop us from hitting the boundaries first. Something to that effect. They need to stop us from hitting the boundaries first. I am one who still believe that is true. What West Indies batsmen need to do is not to learn to rotate the strike more often. What they need to do is to learn to add more shots to their repertoire, like the Dulshan scoop, like the reverse sweep, the switch it. That's what we need to do, not necessarily wanting to rotate the strike more. Because when we had more strokes to our repertoire, when we had a higher variety of strokes to our repertoire, bowlers will have less option to bowl dot balls to us. Having a wider variety of strokes in itself gives you the opportunity to use up less, will not use up, but will see you facing fewer dot balls because you now have a wider variety of strokes. That is my thing, not rotating the strike, because the more strokes you have, is the more shots you'll be able to play. So all about like a man bowling you the Yorker, attempting the Yorker. If you can hit that ball over the keeper head, going down on one knee and scooping it over the keeper head, those are the strokes that we need to add to our repertoire. And so by adding those strokes, we will inevitably face fewer dot deliveries. Jason Holder last 10 T20 matches, 121 runs. That means he's averaging 12 runs per match.
1.1. Mm-hmm.
And so 9 wickets, that means he's getting 9 wickets in 10 matches. And that is why I would not pick him in the squad. And we saw in South Africa, in the recently concluded SA20 in South Africa, we see where in the batting department, Myers, Shepherd, they out-batted Holder. Holder only scored 75 runs in the 7 matches that he played in that competition down there. And when it comes to the bowling, Holder only got 2 wickets in 7 matches. He was out bowled by Simit, who got 9, Shepherd 8, Joseph got 4, Myers and Holder got 2 wickets. This is in South Africa. And it's in South Africa that we are going to play this T20 internationals. So right there in South Africa, Holder got 2 wickets from 7 matches, and he made 75 runs from 7 matches. Again, his average is 10, less than half a wicket per match. I certainly would not have Holder in this team, and I would replace him with Hakeem Jordan. I would certainly replace him with Hakeem Jordan. Alric and Kate, what are your views?
Kate? Kate?
Yeah.
Would you have Holder in the team, Kate?
Yeah, probably.
But you'd have Holder in the team? Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Anybody who pick Holder have a reason.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alric.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to look at the recent performances. And based on those numbers, those are just simply not good enough. Holder does not merit a place based on his performance and even his recent form to be in that T20 squad. So I would not have selected him based on those numbers, because I look at the statistics and numbers don't lie. And if that is what he has done in South Africa and in the recent innings and games that he has played, he has not set the place alight. So he does not merit a place. I would not have selected him. So I'm not going to make any justification for his selection because those numbers are poor. And I prefer to give somebody who is doing a lot better based on their recent form an opportunity to take his all-rounding spot. So those figures are just simply not good enough. And he's lucky to be included in the T20 squad. But just to comment on a point that you made earlier about what we lack. We don't have a problem with boundary hitting. Our problem, and we have seen that over the years, our problem is rotating the strike. So I fundamentally disagree with your point. What we are lacking is to pick up those singles and twos in the middle overs along with boundaries. And if we do that on a consistent basis, we will be scoring a lot more runs. Because if we can score a boundary in an over and pick up 4 to 5 runs off the other 5 balls, that's easily 8, 9 runs, sometimes 10 runs and over. That is good enough. especially in the middle overs. So we don't need to be, and you made mention of having more variety of shots. I don't think West Indies lack the variety, because to do that, it is a higher risk shot to go down and do the dill scoop and all of these things. Look at what happened to Australia in the test series, that the last test match. Everyone was trying to be creative. Sweep shot, reverse sweep. All you needed to do was to play smarter cricket. Hit the balls in the gap. But they were trying to do these high risk shots. And we know the end result. They were being bold and they were being plumb in front. So we simply need to play smart cricket, play each ball on its merit, hit the balls that can be hit for fours or six, and the ones that are rather difficult to get away, try to get those in the gaps and take the singles and twos. And that's how we are going to improve as a team. Our problem is not more fours or more sixes, because that's a given. If you're playing T20, Test cricket, or ODI, boundaries will be hit. But even then, we realize that the teams are now able to restrict the West Indies from their pet shots. So we know that if a particular batsman, he loves to go onside, to cow corner, to mid wicket, the teams are setting the fields in that direction, and they are setting them up, asking them to hit against the spin, asking them to hit in the air where the breeze is blowing. And we, because we cannot think the cricket, we are falling straight into the traps. But if we were smart enough to realize that the men are setting us up, that's where they want us to go. And we are just obliging. If we're able to pick the gaps, because when you set the field deep, there are a lot of gaps in the field. So pick up the twos and the threes. And we are playing on these large grounds where threes are easy to get. But because we are not fit enough at times, we're not willing to do the hard yards and put in the running. But we just want to take the easy route to hit sixes and fours. And that is where we are running into problems.
But I'm not going to say you are wrong, and I'm not going to say I'm wrong, and I'm not going to say you are right and I am right. There are different ways to do different things. I think that if we had more shots to our repertoire, there will be fewer dot balls that bowl to us. Sheldon, I've considered this point long and hard for several months. And the point that you are making there is a point that it's an opinion, it's a position that I've took in the past. But in recent times, I realized that Simit and Shepherd, they tend to bowl very well in their first 2 overs, maybe even their first 3 overs. And there have been times in recent past too, even Simit, even the recently concluded SA20, Simit and Shepherd were given a lot of final overs to bowl because they have improved in that department. There was a time when my Cape Town, the team that Simit played for, Ian Sam Curran was on the field at the same time, and the last over to be bowled. And although both Sam Curran and Simit have over remaining, they gave the ball to Simit. And my Cape Town end up winning the match. My position on these two, I do not think that one should bat at 6. I don't think one should bat at 7, one should bat at 8. I think one should bat at 6 and one should bat at 7 because of their batting average and their strike rate, and they should be 2 or 3 over bowlers, not 4 over bowlers. So you're still going to play 4 bowlers behind them. Now clearly, their strike rate and their batting average is above that of some of the batsmen who are already batting in the top 5. And the information that I showed you just now, even what happened in South Africa, you will see that in South Africa, Simit was our leading bowler, was the leading West Indies bowler in South Africa. He out-bowled Joseph, Older, all our bowlers, Kemo Paul, all the bowlers that were there, and Shepherd were second. I believe that these 2 guys, their bowling are improving. As in any cricket, you remember the match that Cummins run for runs, Hazelwood went for runs, Stark went for runs, that first World Cup match against New Zealand. So these bowlers will always go to run for runs time to time. But if you look back at these two guys, their first 2 overs always tend to be good. It's always their last over that is a problem. So I will have them in my team, Sheldon. That is my view on it. And 007, you list your team there. What are you guys in the chat saying about Older? I'm not seeing you saying anything about Older. Our problem is plain and simple. Batting spin. I've heard that a lot, 007. MPEG TV, Older is in because of his economy rate and debt bowling. The last time I remember Older bowling the last over for West Indies was against New Zealand at Sabina Park one Friday. I think it was August 14th last year, or August 12th. It was August 12th last year at Sabina Park. That's the last time Older bowled the death over for the West Indies. That over went for 23. It went for 23. Do you remember MPEG TV? So I do not share that point. The last time Older bowled the death over for West Indies, it went for 23 against New Zealand. Older needs to play simple because he's older. England have dropped Stokes before and he was captain. Older need to play simple because he was older. No, let I say something to you, sir. Tejaram, I do not have my glasses, so I do not see your name properly. Tejaram, let I tell you, when Older is gone, there will still be West Indies cricket. West Indies cricket is bigger than Older. Older doesn't need to play because he's older. Sheldon is saying Alric is looking at Brooks like he's Ken Williamson, which he's not. Alric, do you want to reply to that?
No, I'm surely. Shamar Brooks is no Kane Williamson. But I'm saying, I think you guys are missing the point that I'm making. I believe that Shamar Brooks was selected for a particular reason, for a particular, looking at what he can provide to the team in terms of rotating the strike, along with those players that are around him that are big hitters. I'm saying that his strike rate could be improved. I'm not saying that his strike rate is fine, but I'm saying that the selectors, I think what they are saying is that Holder can provide us with that stability in the middle, especially in the middle overs where the big hitters and where we tend to struggle in terms of rotating the strike and soaking up a lot of dot balls. So he's no Kane Williamson. He's no big bat that can, like a Virat Kohli, who can do both of these things effectively. Score runs at a decent strike rate as well as rotate the strike. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to you that I believe that his selection is for a particular reason. When we factor in what has happened to West Indies in ODI, in T20, especially in the middle overs, I think he was selected to provide that sort of cover in the middle overs for the West Indies. Outside of that, I would have no problems if Shea Hope or Darren Bravo was selected, who can do a similar job. But I believe that they have selected him for a particular reason, and I hope that it pays off.
The next T20 competition is going to be at home, so boundaries shouldn't be an issue. And John P. Nicol agree with that. Sorry. Shamar Brook hasn't done anything in T20. Sure, Winston King, he has done nothing. He has done nothing. He has done nothing, but Alric is sticking to his point. He has done nothing. Too much politics in West Indies cricket. I believe so too, Capricorn. Adrian Bishop, you are 100% correct. Edmire, Powell, and Puran, these guys should be the nucleus of the T20 team. The Brian Lara committee report also said so, John Nicol, so you and those guys agree with you. You cannot use one innings. Older as one matches for us in the T20. That one over against England in Barbados, you're talking about MP TV. I'm not using one innings though. I just use that as an example. As I showed you, if you look back at Older last 10 T20 matches, he's going for more than 10 runs and over on average. Look back at it, MPEG TV. If not 10, very close to 10. And this is true. Every death bowler in the world is dispatch at time. That is true. A very good point. That I'm not arguing that point. That's a very good point. But this one, I think Older, if he's not going for 10, he's going very close to 10 in his last 10 overs. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and please remember, I have not said this enough during this live stream, but slash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. It's free to click. I want to thank Kate Wilmot, and I want to thank Alric for your final comments. Kate, and your final comments, Alric. Kate, you want to go first with your final comment?
No.
007 Dominic Drakes never do so well in the International League T20. And so I understand if they should pick Shepherd ahead of him. He never did so well in the International League T20, which he played in. These were the only West Indies bowlers who did. Because at 5 on the list, the leading wicket takers in the International League T20, in 5th position was Sheldon Cottrell. He was bowling so good in the tournament that Monroe, that the New Zealand batsman, left-handed batsman, said that Sheldon Cottrell may well be the best bowler in the world. So Sheldon Cottrell was the 5th leading wicket taker in that tournament. Hussain was at 23rd. The other West Indian bowlers, there was nothing to write home about. I think Narayan and Pollard was ahead of Hussain, but those two apparently are not playing international cricket. So that's why Narayan and Pollard is not there. They were ahead of Hussain. But of those who are actively playing international cricket for the West Indies, only Cottrell in 5th position and Hussain was in 23. Your final comments?
Yes. So having looked at the squad, I think the selectors have selected a fairly balanced squad. And as with all squads that have been selected, there are always going to be question marks about certain selections. But I believe that this squad is a decent squad, and we just hope that they can play to their potential and be competitive in the series against South Africa. I think South Africa will start favorites and should win the series, but I think West Indies, if they can be competitive, that's all we're asking from them, because South Africa is a very good team, especially their bowling department. So if West Indies batting can come to the party, then I think this series will be won or lost based on how our batsmen perform. And that has been our Achilles heel in the recent tournaments. So if our batsmen can produce the goods and we can be competitive, I think this series should be a good one. And I think we shouldn't be disgracing ourselves in South Africa. So if they can perform to the best of their abilities, I think we should be able to be competitive, and hopefully we probably can win the series, even though South Africa will start as favorites. So those are my final comments.
Kate, what are your final comments? You think that West Indies can win the series down in South Africa?
Yeah, wish them all the best. Also, short the innings.
Okay. I believe in the squad that was selected. As I said, I would not have picked Chase, and I would not have picked Carty. I would not have picked Older. I would not have picked Reefer. I would not have picked Brooks. Yes, Brooks, and give Brooks credit where credit is due. Brooks scored 694 runs in ODI cricket last year in 2022. As a West Indian, that is second only to Shea Hope's 709. So Brooks is definitely a go in the ODI team. He's one of our leading batsmen in the ODI team. I have nothing against Brooks. I'm only talking about his performances. So in the ODI team, Brooks is a sure pick. 694 runs in 2022, second only to Shea Hope as a West Indies batsman. His spot in the ODI team is unquestionable. But in that ODI team, I have no place for Carty. I have no place for Chase. And Older just make it because of his last 5 bowling performances. In the T20 team, I have no place in that T20 team for Brooks, no place in that T20 team for Raymond Reefer, and no place for Older. The other 12 players, I'm satisfied with them. Thank you all for tuning in. Now that we have analyzed the West Indies cricket team and we have stayed our position on the selection, it is now to leave that behind us and it is now to support those players who have been selected. So while I do not agree with the selection of Brooks, I hope he comes good. I do not agree with the selection of Chase and Reefer. I hope they come good, because if they come good, the West Indies team will be in a better chance of winning. And when the West Indies team win, I am happy. When the West Indies team lose, I am not so happy. So now that I have stated my position, it is now time to support the players that are in South Africa. Please let us support our players. Slash a like on the video, share, and click that subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Ulrich. Thank you, Kate. And may God bless you all and have a wonderful day. One love.